Hey everybody, welcome to the show, Board Game Reviews. This is going to be a quick unboxing video for the Terraforming Mars Kickstarter Special Edition, the $100 box for the big box for the Kickstarter. I want to do a quick unboxing video for this because I know when I originally backed this, I kind of had a little bit of heartburn before I backed it in the first place because $100 seemed like a lot of money put into a Kickstarter from the Stronghold Games. Now, I'm going to take a moment to be a little bit negative here, but that's what a reviewer is supposed to be. They're supposed to be honest with you and not hold back when the truth needs to be said. Stronghold Games used to be a company that used to produce some really fantastic, high-quality component games. If you go back and look at some of their very earlier catalog, such as the very first original version when it first brought out Survive, Escape from Atlantis, and the Confusion game, you see that they used to bring out some games that had some really high-quality components. Over the years, their component quality tanked quite a bit. You start looking at some later editions of the games. Terraforming Mars was one heck of a poster child for what I'm about to say. The quality of the components went down. Matter of fact, the components got to the point where I started thinking that Stronghold Games was no longer a forefront leader in high-quality components. They were still a forefront leader in good games usually, which was a good thing, but usually I knew that whenever I was buying something from Terraform or something from Stronghold Games, I knew it was not going to be a high-quality product. Usually means that it was something I want to bling out. It'd be something that if it was a card game, I want to sleeve the cards as quick as possible. If there's any cardboard card stock, I want to find a way to protect the card stock as quick as possible, possibly laminated stuff, because the stuff was super thin. Another one to look at is the Golden Ages. That game had such thin quality components, it was almost borderline paper. That's how thin the stuff was. So I kind of had a lot of heartburn when I came into backing this, but I had high hopes that since it was a Kickstarter, since I was throwing out $100 at it, I was really hoping that'd be worth my dollars invested in this. So I'm opening this up blindly at this point because the package is still 100% sealed here. And I'm really hoping it's going to be worth it. And I think it's going to be cool for you to see what it looks like. I know some of you, or at least I think some of you may feel the same way I do, and think of that throwing $100 just in basically what is a over-glorified bling for what's admittedly a great game. Board Game Geek can't be wrong. I mean, you have thousands of people voting this in the top 10 games of all time, and it's justifiable. It is a very good game. I'm not going to deny that. But it sure is an ugly, very non-pretty looking game. So that's enough of the preamble, though. Let's go ahead and pop on the box and see if the $100 is going to be worth it. The game is shipped from Fun Again Games, and one thing I do like about Fun Again Games, while they do charge a little bit more for shipping, I think I had to spend $35 or even $40 to have this box shipped to me, and I do live in the United States. At least they do a good job of protecting the product, so you know what you're getting is at least going to show up at your door, not full of thousands of holes, not banged up and not dented up. Even if you have a box that has a hole in it, that goes all the way through, because the shipping people at UPS don't know how to ship things without breaking things. But at least you know that when you get the box at the door, it's not going to be all torn up, all shredded, or damaged beyond belief. I think I got a really good example of that was the AEG shipping me was it the second or maybe the third expansion for Thunderstone Quest, which I think, if I remember correctly, oh wait, those are going to be some really good styrofoam to use for playing Age of Sigmar. I can build buildings out of those, so I'm not going to throw those away. But with the Thunderstone Quest, the second expansion, that box came trashed. I actually contacted AEG, told them that everything I received was pretty much bent, all the cardboard, pretty much useless. And that's been, I don't know, like 6 months ago, and I still have not heard anything from AEG, so I'm assuming that AEG just, whatever they're going to do it, however they want to do it. But unfortunately, even though that package came totally destroyed, I'm kind of stuck with the components that I want for that game. So, this Terraforming Mars Big Box expansion right here, we see that this is an extremely large box here. It is very good thickness. And the cool thing is this is one of those boxes that's going to lift in the center, which means it's not going to be one of those boxes that is an absolute pain in the neck to open where you're going to risk actually splitting the seams. Because that's one thing that's terrible about big boxes such as Gloomhaven, such as Thunderstone Quest, which I already mentioned. Since the box goes all the way down to the bottom right here, when you pull up, you risk splitting these seams. So it's nice that they took the effort to actually put the box on a halfway mark, and that was really, really nice. So the first thing we are going to see is we are going to see the 3D tiles. And let's go and pull these 3D tiles out and look to see exactly how good they look. And I bet this would be a great time to zoom in with the camera. Now, the Kickstarter made it look like these would be some really fantastic looking hexagon tiles. And they are multicolored, and the detail on them is decent. It's not actually bad quality. And you do have multiple colors. It looks like it's actually two seams put together here. I would say this is probably the same quality you're going to get out of maybe a $100 3D printer. So you can go to, I know Barnes & Noble used to sell a 3D printer, and I think you can also go to Amazon and they have the 3D printer. I can't remember the brand, and hopefully I remember. I'll leave some notes down below. But there's a 3D printer that costs about, I think it's like $100 to $150, and it actually, this is about the quality you're going to get out of that 3D printer, and that's what this looks like. So basically, spending $100 to get the quality you could get out of a $100 to $150 3D printer. So of course you'd have to create the file, so I'm not making anything up there, but that gives you the rough quality what it is. If you want to get a really nice 3D printer, I can recommend the Monoprice, which is the one I have back there, which is the one I use to print a lot of my miniatures for games, such as my Games Workshop games, such as my train I make, and things that looks a heck of a lot better. But that unfortunately is a $450 printer, which is a huge difference in price. So it looks like the quality actually on some of these tiles actually is going to be a little bit better. They're actually pretty cool. I'm going to pull out the board here in just a minute so you can see what these are going to look like on the board. But actually, the forest ones I wasn't that impressed with, but the city ones actually look a lot better. You're going to get a nice cityscape on them. And again, it looks like they basically just 3D printed the base and they glued on the cities onto the top to make it look a little bit nicer. We got the water tiles, that looks nice. We got the dam, and it looks actually pretty darn decent. I bet for anybody willing to take the time to actually paint these up, or even if you wanted to ink these, or not ink them, well, I call it inking, but if you wanted to shade these just by taking some shade on these would actually look a heck of a lot better. Probably, if you're a Games Workshop person, getting the Agrax Earthshade and taking that and painting that on these, that would look really fantastic. It'd actually really make the Mars theme on this really stand out. And then you just go over with a quick coat of a sealant. I use a matte sealant. That'd actually look pretty darn nice. I may actually do that if I have the time. And I think the nice thing about the Agrax Earthshade is it makes everything look really weathered, which is really nice. So you wouldn't have to be perfect about it. You can actually just slap it on in a very good way, not super slap it on. And then go ahead and take these and then finally do a matte sealant on them, and they actually look pretty darn decent. Now there's a little slot on every one of these for a cube, and it looks like it is recessed enough that a cube will sit there and not flop all over the place. So that's going to be really good, and I do like that. So that is more of the plastic. There is the fist. That is for tracking that. We've got a couple more cities here, and I think these cities are starting to look a lot better. And again, I think I'm going to use that thing, and I'm going to go ahead and ink these or shade these really, really well. I think they're going to look a heck of a lot better. Not that they look terrible, but let's see here. There's definitely, I think there's close to 75 or 80 of these tokens, so you're basically spending maybe $1 for each one of these. Well, of course, I guess that's an unfair because you're also paying for the box and everything like that, so you're probably paying a lot less than that, but I'll just go ahead and give you a couple of views of some of these. So you're going to see the cities look pretty darn decent. You see the forests are going to look pretty darn decent. The explosion is going to look, I don't know if the camera's going to pick up on that one, will it? Yeah, I think it's going to try. Not too bad. Let me find the volcano. I think the volcano will be a good reference point to see just how good these can look. So that actually looks pretty darn decent. Next thing up was we get a little bit of cardboard and average quality cardboard, not extra thick, not extra thin. And I think this is going to be part of the divider you're going to put in for the card sleeves. Yes, it is part of the divider for that, so I'll put that together at a later date. So now we're going to go to the inserts. Now the inserts are where you are going to place every single one of these. Now this feels like good plastic. I'm happy with this. This is not the cheap, thin, chintzy plastic that I was terrified would actually happen. I'm actually happy about that. This, yeah, you want to be a little bit careful with that. That might tear eventually if you're not super careful, but they will fit perfectly fine. And everything is going to sit in there perfectly fine. It's going to hold these, and that's going to be even better. Now I have even more temptation to go in and paint these because I know they may set in there very nicely, and I'm not going to have to worry about them being damaged or even being scraped or ruining the time I'm going to put into painting and wasting my effort there. So there's another tray. That one is going to be for more of the tiles there. We have a couple more trays now. These trays are not bad. These are a little bit thinner. These are probably going to crack eventually, especially on the seams. These are that thinner plastic, which is just not going to cut it. You can bend this very easily. And that's average quality. I would probably say this is about the quality you're going to get inside a dollar store. If you went to a dollar store and got these kind of things, you probably get a stack of maybe like 4 or 5 of these from a dollar store. That's probably what you're looking at from there. See more foam, and let's go ahead and move this right into the camera here, so you can see exactly what else is coming out of the box. So next up, we're going to have storage trays for every one of the players. Wow, that is super duper thin plastic. This looks like probably what you get at a dollar store. Again, probably maybe about 10 of them for $1. At least this insert seems to be a little bit better quality, and there's a couple more layers. Let's see here. We have the extra dividers that we're going to use for the cards. So let's see what the quality on these cards actually is. Hey, it looks like they actually improved the artwork. It no longer looks like cheap images that they took randomly from the internet. So that's one of the biggest complaints I have with Terraforming Mars is the cards in Terraforming Mars. The artwork is literally all over the place. You have artwork that looks decent, and then you look like artwork that looks like maybe a 5-year-old drew it, so it's actually not that good. But thick cardboard here, that's actually really good quality. I'm actually happy with that. That is actually what I expect when I spend $100 for a game, is good quality cardstock for my card. So this, I'm not putting that back in there. I'm not taking that risk. So we'll put that back. Those are the dividers, and I think these dividers actually are pretty very good quality, at least I hope too. Are they plastic, or are they just laminated very nice? Nope, just nicely laminated. So these are thick, and hey, this artwork actually looks pretty darn decent. This is actually worth showing you for the artwork here. So you have nice artwork on these. The artwork is on both sides of it. Let's just go ahead and fan that out for all of you so you can see all the artwork. And I can see it on the other side because it's double-sided artwork, so not too bad at all. I'm actually impressed. It looks like they spent a little money on their artwork here, so that's nice. Good job there, Stronghold Games. So, last thing we get the insert, which is going to hold all the cards for the game. And looking at the size of this, I'm going to say it's pretty safe to assume that this is going to hold all the cards sleeved. I don't think we're going to have any problems with that. The artwork is on it, looks kind of nice. It's basically a nice extension of the artwork for the cover of the box. And this slots in there extra, but it's definitely going to hold all the cards sleeved. And then finally, we are going to get one more insert all the way on the bottom for the components. So that's basically everything taken apart. I am going to put all the components back into the box, and I'm going to put this all back in the box slowly and let you see exactly how all this works once it's done. And I'm not going to do it right now because unfortunately I am not seeing any instructions at all on how to do this at all anywhere, and basically open everything up. So it means I'm going to have to go to the Kickstarter page itself, where I know there was an update that tells you exactly where all the components go for this game. So instead of boring you to tears while I stare at my laptop and figure out where everything goes, I'm going to put everything in its component case, and then I'll cut back in when everything is in its component case, and I'll just put everything back in the box so you can see how nice and easily everything fits back in the Terraforming Mars Big Box expansion box. Now that I got everything put in the insert correctly, I have to say design-wise, they actually did a really good job with the insert. Everything has a nice place for every one of the pieces. Everything fits pretty darn nice. The card holder is going to fit all the cards sleeved very, very easily. You see how I don't have any of my cards actually sleeved here, and I don't even have all the cards available for the game, but generally speaking, when you sleeve cards, you're going to double the thickness, so they are going to fit very, very easily. This holder is going to hold them very nicely, prevent them from taking any excess damage. These holders have some great components, locations for all the pieces. You have pieces for the cubes for every one of the single players, which is going to go in a slot just like that. You have the resources that are going to go in a slot just like this very easily for all the players. And if you want to save your old cardboard components for any reason, and if you don't have all the expansions, it all fits in here very, very nicely. So everything is going to fit in here very, very nicely. There's only two mild concerns I actually have about for this insert. One is going to be the quality of the plastic for these bases. This is definitely that cheap plastic that is going to crack very, very quickly. It's super duper thin. And basically what's going to happen is, I'll just turn this one over because that'll be the first good inclination. This one will be okay. This plastic right here, when it's as thin as this is right here, this is going to crack. I've had lots of board games that have an insert that's like this. They usually last maybe 6 months to maybe a year. depending on how dry of a climate you have or how much you're going to pour these in and out of the box. Now these inserts are designed to be pulled out of the box all the time, so I imagine there's going to be some quick wear and tear on them. Starting expecting to see them start cracking on the corners here only about 6 months a year, but I would assume that with the lids they should stay pretty much a-okay overall. These little containers also are a little bit thinner, but again, it seems to be the bases that are thin. The tops, the clear plastic, is what actually looks like a better quality plastic, so I was kind of happy about that. The other thing I want to mention is the fact that the actual the nuclear blast does not fit in the insert, at least not with a lid on it, which I'm glad I actually checked, because when I first saw this, I was about to glue this on there and just stick it on there just like that, perfectly. But then as I was placing it on there, I realized that it will not allow you to seal the lid. So whatever you do, don't get the idea of gluing this on, because if you do so, you're not going to be able to put your lid back on. You're basically going to put this out to the side, and every time you're playing, you have to pop that lid off for a nuclear blast every single time you play. Not a terrible thing, but it would have been nice if they had a spot that would have been molded just a little bit better, that would have been for that specific piece only. I tried multiple locations, there is no special spot for it, but otherwise, that's about the only big complaint. Everything does seem to fit really nicely. You have spots for all the cardboard. I'm overall happy with this. I mean, the price is a little bit high for the quality, but the design is definitely there. And I mean, let's be honest, Terraforming Mars was not a component-heavy game. This isn't a game like The Colonists where you have tons and tons and tons of components, where you're constantly trying to manage them, and you're looking for 3D printed inserts. You're looking for any way that you can take all of these pieces and find a way to store them. Terraforming Mars is basically a card game plus a board game with a whole bunch of extra components. The only thing we need to insert for now are for these little tiles that represent all the, or take place in all the old cardboard. So it's nicely designed. It's going to be a little bit of a fit getting things in and out. And again, like I said, eventually you'll start noticing some wear and tear, just because they didn't use quite thick enough plastic for these bases. Not terrible, not great. And you see that. Okay, I did not struggle this much when I tried this off camera, but now that I'm on camera, you can see how much fun this is. There we go. Now it goes as it fits. Next piece will go in here. This will be the tiles that go on just like that. Final tile layer is going to go on like this, and my box is working terribly already, and I do not live in a horrible climate. Oh, I live in Alaska. I like to say it's not a horrible climate, at least I don't think it is. We don't have a lot of moisture or a lot of dryness. We just kind of have lots of tundra. But everything fits in there very nicely. The lid pops on very, very nicely. And again, it all looks really darn good and fits in there very nicely. Overall, design-wise, good insert. Quality-wise, and a little bit iffy on some of the stuff. And I think it could have been a little bit better, especially for the price they're asking for this. But overall, I am happy. Hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I will get to them as quickly as I can. You can also feel free to email me at off-the-shelf board game reviews. That is otsbgr@gmail.com. I'll be sure to answer email as quickly as I can. If you enjoy this channel and you enjoy the content, think about supporting the channel over on Patreon. Literally just $1 single in the tip jar over on Patreon can make a huge difference. This channel is 100% self-funded, and everything you see from the content I bring out here is all from out of my pocket. Just $1 little can help me cover my costs and help keep the lights on. If you enjoy this video, series, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.